herself somebody else. It will be some kind of older, really rich man.
Tycoon.
Well, an Arab prince.
You watch.
Harry just can't give her anything else anymore. He's served his purpose. His purpose is over, and they're no longer aligned in purpose. So it's for her, it's time to move on.
Obviously, she can say, well, you know, look, I'm needing professional investment or all of that type of thing. But Burrell's suggestion and your suggestion seems to be also if something romantic presented itself.
She will take her royal kids, who can still go by prince and princess, and find the billionaire, like you say, who actually will just keep her in the manner to which she'd like to become accustomed.
Imagine this. She's not searching for just any partner. No, it's going to be someone very specific. An older, incredibly wealthy gentleman, likely confined to a wheelchair. Mark my words. You'll see it happen. She'll bring her royal children, still carrying the prestigious titles of prince and princess, to this billionaire. The kind of man who isn't just rich, but can effortlessly provide the lifestyle she's grown accustomed to, one of luxury and ease. But here's where it gets complicated, and honestly, a little fascinating. These billionaires, sharp as they are, can sniff out desperation from a mile away. If you're not genuinely looking for a relationship, but rather a solution, a way to maintain comfort, they know it. Now, let's talk about him. I picture him as aimless, almost like a finely bred racehorse trained for one thing and one thing only.
She doesn't want a pauper. She doesn't want another pauper Angela like Harry. You know, that he's not rich enough for her, okay?
It gets trickier because these billionaires can sense one thing. When you're not looking for a partner, you're looking for a solution.
I think she's been after people who are extraordinarily rich for quite a long time now. And I don't know whether they're not interested in her or she hasn't fancied them, but she's still hanging on to Harry because she can't find the right person.
Off the track, he's lost. Montecito, where this all plays out, is worlds away from the racing scene, a place that symbolizes escape, a blank canvas where purpose seems unclear. What exactly does he do? Honestly, it's hard to pin down. His life is a mystery in itself, more a question than an answer. So, what does a woman like this do next? What's her next move? To understand how this story unfolds, you have to rewind and trace its origin. Because this isn't a love story that popped up overnight, it's a narrative that was carefully crafted, starting long before Harry even knew her name. Her journey to London, and everything that followed, wasn't coincidence. It was part of an elaborate, calculated plan. And this is just where the story begins. That was the story everyone who knew her back then kept whispering about. When a group of royal insiders sifted through the details earlier this year, the very first name that popped up was none other than the football star Ashley Cole. According to those familiar with her at the time, he was the one she set her sights on the moment she arrived on the scene, long before any prince entered the picture.
I think it won't be enough for Meghan and it won't be enough for Harry. And she will just go off and her next step is a billionaire. Because she's got millions, so why not step up to a billionaire? And why not go for politics? Why not become governor of California?
And we know that she is developing friendships, shall we say, with numerous billionaires who could, of course, come in handy for lots of reasons.
It wasn't about fairy tales or royal destiny yet. It was right there, clear as day. Then, fast forward to September 2015. In the quiet hours of the night, a little after 1 a.m, an unexpected message suddenly popped into Piers Morgan's inbox. It was the kind of message no one ever asked for but instantly grabbed attention. "Well, hello there. Thanks for the follow. Big fan of yours," it read. Morgan didn't just shrug it off, no, he made sure to save the screenshot. That timestamp became a viral badge of authenticity. But here's the twist that defies the headlines and tabloids. Before she had even met Prince Harry, she confided something remarkable to her agent. Tom Bower, a journalist who would later include this revelation in his book, revealed that she had been doing more than just casual Googling. "I have researched Harry extensively," she reportedly said. "Not a shallow search or a passing glance, but a deep dive into every aspect of his life." This was true preparation, an intentional and meticulous look into the man who hadn't yet made it onto her calendar, but was clearly already in her sights. That level of focus was something no one expected and barely anyone talked about at the time, yet it changed everything.
He is aimless. He doesn't know what he's going to do. I always see him like a kind of well-trained racehorse in the way that he doesn't know what to do outside the tracks, and Montecito is very much outside the tracks.
Harry came from this very busy world of the royal family with lots to do. Even in his spare time, he could play polo and do whatever he wanted. He sat in Montecito, twiddling his thumbs, thinking, what do I do next? What is my role? Where is my work?
Imagine a young woman quietly nursing a crush. That's the setup, the delicate homework assignment she never expected to undertake. Enter Lady Colin Campbell, a figure who has circled around this family for a solid 4 decades. With a sharp eye and no shortage of insight, she poses the question everyone is too hesitant to say out loud. Would this woman have been interested in Harry if he weren't, well, Prince Harry? The room falls silent. No one offers an answer. And, truth be told, none is needed. The question hangs there, heavy and unspoken, drawing a line in the sand. But Lady Colin doesn't stop there. She shifts gears, slipping into an unforgettable impression of how this woman operates behind the scenes, businesslike, calculated, and utterly frosty. It's one of the coldest depictions ever captured on daytime TV, and it leaves the audience breathless. There's a sense that nothing is given away without a calculated exchange. "I'm not handing over anything for free," she intones, voice steady and unwavering. "I expect something in return. I want what I want, and I get exactly that." 3 words delivered flat and clinical, as if emotion doesn't belong in her world but deals and negotiations do. Then, a story from her acting days adds a fascinating layer to this puzzle. Picture a small-scale production set somewhere in Eastern Europe.
And that ridiculous story about how they first met. The whole thing was a tissue of inaccuracies, to be polite, because of course I got the real story that he got a blind date and was called up and all that. And this is the other thing, which is one of the many, many lies she tells, that she arrived in London, full career, single girl, wasn't interested. Of course, she'd been coming to London since 2013, hunting for a man to marry. She wanted an Englishman. She was on a man hunt.
Meghan has been blessed and privileged. I'm going to treat people as I would want to be treated. She then turns the other way, which just shows a lack of class.
She didn't
and
like it.
Yeah, you can take the girl out of the gutter, right?
But remember, she was treating people like this before she was in the royal family. That's the thing.
True.
This is part
that
of
Hollywood?
her personality.
The woman, fresh from that world but far from a household name, requests something extravagant, a private jet. The producer has to break it to her gently. His modest company just can't deliver on that kind of luxury. "You're out of your mind," he reportedly said. Yet she behaved like a superstar, like she was Beyoncé, even though, at that moment, she was starring on basic cable. It's a striking glimpse into ambition, perception, and the fine line between confidence and entitlement. This all came to light on the 19th of May, 2018, an ordinary day turned extraordinary by revelations that rippled far beyond that studio. Windsor. Imagine a grand chapel filled with 600 people, all eyes fixed on an unfolding story that the entire world has been eagerly waiting to witness. As the cameras zoom in, a clearer picture emerges of the guests seated quietly in the pews, their faces telling stories of privilege, ambition, and whispered secrets. Among them, one woman's intentions begin to shimmer beneath the surface. From the outside, it seemed like just another royal occasion, but beneath that stately exterior was a fierce desire to break free from tradition and chase a dazzling dream of stardom far away in California. All her life, she had dreamed of something bigger, something brighter.
These pictures that I'm about to show you have been banned from the internet. They were scrubbed, but now they're back. They're finally out there. They couldn't keep these files hidden.
She genuinely did get duped in some sort of way. She thought that she was marrying a multi-billionaire. That's how she saw Harry. Unfortunately, the reality of when she came to him, he was living in Frogmore Cottage with his sort of stash and his picked-apart couch. She found very quickly Harry that he, first of all, is not a cash cow. He's got some inheritance. And second of all, he's useless outside of the royal gates and totally useless in America.
She wasn't just present at Windsor out of duty or curiosity. She had something else in mind. Even Oprah Winfrey, who had met this couple once before, recognized the unusual dynamic. Oprah, known for her keen insight into people, had been a guest of the Clooneys. She wasn't close to them, but enough to see the signs. At first, she dismissed it as typical showbiz glamour, flashy and superficial, just part of the endless parade of celebrity culture. But this woman was something different. She possessed an extraordinary knack for finding a man who might just need her presence in his life, and she played that role with dazzling finesse, like a masterful actress on a grand stage. Then, as if fate stepped in, Prince Harry himself approached her. The air shifted with that unexpected moment. It was no small thing for Harry to reach out. It changed the entire game. The room buzzed with whispers. "Oh, do behave," people murmured, recognizing the beginning of something that would capture headlines for years to come. Enter Nick Eade, a well-known London publicist who saw potential where others only saw chaos.
Her demands, this director said, were worse than any other actor he had worked with, and he had worked with true A-listers. She would demand private jets if there was not a first-class flight available. And he was like, are you kidding? Like, you think our small production has the ability to fly you on a private jet? Like, you're nuts.
But
that's how she thinks.
She's Beyonce. She thought she was Beyonce then. And then she is a social climber, and she wanted to marry.
I just thought this woman is really doing something quite dreadful to Britain, and Harry has fallen in love with her in a ludicrous way and has gone along as her accomplice.
He decided to take her under his wing, inviting her out for a lunch that opened doors she'd never even dared knock on before. Nick had the connections, the charm, and the insight to introduce her to exclusive circles she would have struggled to access alone. But not everyone was kind. After a particularly harsh interview by Piers Morgan, a moment that could have broken many, Nick named the strange spell that seemed to fall over him and even Morgan himself, hinting at how her influence reached far beyond the surface. And then, the story took another twist, one that could only be whispered about in the dead of night. She sent a message at 1 a.m., reaching out first, a bold move that surprised many. But after that brief moment, silence, not a word, not a sign. She vanished from his life as quickly as she had entered it, leaving behind a night forever changed by an encounter with a prince and a mystery that still lingers today. "She totally ghosted me," he says, his voice heavy with disbelief and frustration. Now, let me be clear, no one has ever convincingly demonstrated a clear pattern of this behavior, and I'm not here to pretend otherwise. It's important to remember that scandals like these are nothing new. Take Pretty's siding with the ex-husband in a messy divorce, an all-too familiar story, played out countless times in towns across the country.
And then Oprah Winfrey had met them once. She was a guest. The Clooneys, the guests. I mean, never met them before, but they were the guests. And, I thought to myself, this all showbiz rubbish.
Not in a million years did Meghan think that she was going to score Prince Harry. She thought she was going to score Andrew until Fergie put a stop to it.
But she had one amazing ability, which was to find a man who needed her. And she played him brilliantly. The actress was sensational.
Even Millie's own words suggest the backlash might have been engineered, at least in part, for the sake of a reality TV narrative. As for Morgan, well, she has been fueling this feud, like a steady campfire, for a solid 8 years. That's her angle, and who's to say it's unfair? People latch onto stories. They live for drama. It's part of the game. But here's where the plot turns cold. Look closely at who is still in her corner after all this time. Doria Ragland, serene and steadfast. Serena Williams, with her undeniable presence and silence that speaks volumes. Misha Anu, ever enigmatic. And Marcus Anderson, the Soho House figure, who unlocked every exclusive door for her back in 2012, still there, still smiling in the photos, even 14 years later. The ones who served a purpose, who proved useful, they remained loyal, and that's no coincidence. It's a sharp reminder that in this world, Usefulness often trumps loyalty or friendship. And here's something no one tends to mention, and honestly, it's the most ironic twist of all. She spent 2 whole decades clambering up that glittering, treacherous ladder to reach the heights of fame and influence. But this year, inexplicably, someone pulled that ladder away. Imagine working tirelessly, year after year, shaking hands and breaking bread, building your network piece by piece, only to find the path has suddenly vanished beneath your feet. Take the Met Gala, for example.
This guy has been around all of the time. Isn't that suspicious to you? Because it is for me. It is something strange.
You know, this is what Meghan has been doing. She's a piece of Klingon, you know, like she clings to somebody who can get her there. So Meghan manages to befriend one person of a very popular group, and then that person introduces her to the others. And because she's being brought in by somebody they trust, she's welcomed in.
It's not just the most glamorous event in fashion, it's the one night every woman in her industry dreams about, where being photographed inside means being a part of the elite conversation. But Meghan, she wasn't just ignored, she wasn't invited at all. Not shuffled to a back corner, not placed awkwardly by the kitchen staff's tables, not given any semblance of recognition on the guest list. She was erased from this pivotal night, excluded without so much as an official explanation. In a world where appearances mean everything, this absence speaks volumes, and it's the kind of quiet social snub that sends a clear message: your reign is over. That night, the atmosphere was electric and ruthless. At the top of the social food chain stood Anna Wintour, the unchallenged queen of fashion's inner circle. And make no mistake, Anna Wintour wasn't welcoming Meghan Markle with open arms. In fact, she flat out wasn't having her. One wrong step, one burned bridge, and that was it. For Meghan, this wasn't just any snub, it cut deep. The cold shoulder from Anna Wintour was a silent but powerful message. You don't belong here. Ingrid Seward didn't hold back when she spoke about it live on air. She peeled back the layers, explaining exactly why Meghan needed the kind of validation that only a presence in these exclusive circles can bring. From a booking agent's perspective, being seen at these events isn't just a matter of pride. It's crucial. It's like a career lifeline packed into visual currency. The difference is stark.
And that Meghan was really trying to kick Jessica out of her life is a bit surprising. This was a woman whose children played a prominent role in your wedding just 2 years before. Meghan dumped her and seemingly has never spoken to her, never spoken about her. And the reason, according to reports, that Meghan wanted Jessica out of her life is quite silly, you could say. Jessica was intimately close with the couple, and yet she was unceremoniously kicked out.
This is Rachel Meghan Markle in 2006 at a Hamptons party where Harvey Weinstein was there. But of course, nobody was mentioning Meghan Markle because she was a nobody.
Every outfit Meghan showcases on her public appearances gets snapped up instantly by her brand, Tea Time. But the real magic happens when those 2 words, Duchess of Sussex, precede her name. That title? It's everything. It turns her wardrobe into must-have pieces, instantly boosting sales and status. It's the key that unlocks opportunities no ordinary celebrity could touch, but that status also came with burdens. And here's where it gets really juicy. The second nail in the coffin? Meghan and Harry know they weren't invited to the Oscars or any of those exclusive, whispered about private events. Imagine being on the outside looking in, feeling your significance dwindling with every closed door. Why? Because when any small controversy bubbles up, or when conversation turns even slightly critical, these 2 don't sit back gracefully. Instead, they lash out, deflect, and direct blame, becoming the headline no one wants to manage. In that same live moment, Lady C, a seasoned insider known for her unapologetic honesty, refused to give the easy, sugar-coated answer the hosts seemed to want.
She has used the British people to make her famous.
She's used the royal family.
And now she's dropped them to keep her relevant. And no wonder she's so hated. And do you know what? It is not going to end well for her. It is not going to end well. And do you know what? I actually get so angry when I think about her. And the way she treated Kate as well.
Harry was always very insistent in 2017, telling the BBC
BBC, it was a blind date. All of a sudden, there's a completely new story that they met via Instagram. So which are we meant to believe?
But not only that, can you really believe that photograph of Meghan wearing a droopy nose and things somehow said, oh, that's the woman for me? It's ridiculous. I mean, this actually was calculated to undermine my book.
Meghan Markle only becomes prominent for Soho House, guys, after she starts being on Suits and she's introduced to Marcus Anderson. And then she gets more consistent and more prominent work, okay? Because then she could be in the presence of Marcus Anderson.
Instead, she laid the truth bare with a sharp edge. Poor Meghan, the host mused out loud, had been misled. Thought she was marrying into unimaginable wealth, only to find herself tethered to a prince with a strictly controlled allowance. The weight of those words hung heavy in the air, revealing the uncomfortable reality behind the glitz and glam. What followed was a moment wrapped in quiet, almost cautious respect, and then, without hesitation, she began to dismantle the whole facade piece by piece. Meghan had seen the truth long before it became undeniable. She knew Harry didn't have the fortune she dreamed of, certainly not the kind of wealth that could guarantee the life she envisioned. And yet, she willingly bought into a story about a man far more powerful, far more influential than he ever truly was or could be. It wasn't just one-sided deception. No, this was a mutual game of smoke and mirrors. Think about that for a moment and read it again. No one was tricked. No victimhood here.
That Harry and Meghan face being snubbed from the biggest Hollywood wedding of the year. Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau are set to wed. It's going to be the Hollywood event of the year, perhaps the Hollywood event of the decade. Major political power brokers are going to be there. Every household name in Tinseltown is going to be there. The big stars from the movies. Everyone you can imagine is going to be there. Do you know who's not going to be there, Mark? Harry and Meghan.
I mean, she doesn't care about her reputation, does she? Or does she think that the Duchess of Sussex title can take on anything and nothing's going to happen to it? That title, it's already devalued, depreciated, and valued completely. How embarrassing. And no, Meghan Markle doesn't have a model body.
Both signed on the dotted line, fully aware, fully complicit. They weren't just two people chasing dreams, they were architects of a grand, ambitious blueprint. William and Catherine would hold the traditional throne, ruling Britain and the Commonwealth with regal grace. Meanwhile, Meghan and Harry had their sights set on something far wider, far bolder the rest of the world. They envisioned themselves as a global royal power couple, rewriting the rules of monarchy. This was a family story that had been passed down, evolved, and negotiated for centuries, now being hopelessly unpacked and fractured over something as mundane yet symbolic as a casual dinner conversation. These two, people who couldn't even successfully run a small business together, were orchestrating a seismic shift in one of the oldest royal lineages in history. When Lady C is pressed to assign blame who's responsible for what's unfolded, she doesn't play to the crowd or offer the simple, viral-ready answer the internet craves. Sure, Meghan bears most of the weight in her eyes, but it's no one-sided betrayal. Harry's role wasn't that of a helpless pawn led astray by a charismatic outsider. No, he was very much an active partner in this drama, a willing participant who knew exactly what was unfolding.
You think this is a big victory, and that somehow all of the stories, which are factual, which is that Netflix has dumped your because Was Never is the worst lifestyle brand in the history of lifestyle brands? Because, what was that show called? I can't even remember. With Love Meghan. With Love Meghan was the worst piece of lifestyle TV programming in the history of lifestyle TV programming. And the fact that they even unfollowed you, Ted included, on social media. They are not friends with Ms. Markle at all. The friendship is between Meghan and their mother.
They're not going to be at the Grammys, they're not going to be at the Oscars, they're not going to be at private parties, because when anything goes wrong, whenever there's a little bit of a conversation to have, these two lash out and blame.
Connivance, she says, meaning Harry's involvement was deliberate and knowing, not a case of weakness or gullibility. And then she delivers a statement that hits even harder. This kind of woman, willing to dismantle tradition, rewrite rules, and challenge centuries of history, doesn't just show up on her own. She requires an enabler, a partner who desires exactly the same upheaval, someone who is not merely swept away by charm or circumstance, but actively desires the transformation they create together. The story isn't simply about one person's ambition or one person's mistake. It's a tangled, complicated alliance, one built on shared intentions, shared plans, and shared risks. He didn't stumble blindly into this marriage. He willingly raised his hand and said yes. It wasn't happenstance, it was a choice.
It's just so wrong to do what she's doing. She has nothing to stand on her own. You know, she doesn't have her own talent, her own way of just making it herself. I mean, my goodness, you married the prince, okay? Can you just try to do something on your own now? And now you're just, going into the family, his dead mother now. Just is so bad. I can't understand why Harry hasn't already made a move by now, because it's only going to get worse from here. It gets worse.
Your daddy's dying and you're putting broccoli dip or whatever the rubbish that is. There's the priorities of this woman. What's wrong with her?
And never have two people been more deserving of hardship and ruin than these two, a perfect embodiment of betrayal and deceit woven together. She said to them, cold and cutting, that their fate was nothing short of deserved penury. Now, the question looming over all of this is, where does this tangled saga finally reach its end? That very question was put before a panel of seasoned royal observers in January, and the answer came quickly, without hesitation. You just wait, one expert predicted confidently. She's going to leave him, make no mistake. She'll abandon Harry and then, without skipping a beat, move on to someone else. And don't be surprised it will be an older, incredibly wealthy man. The weight of that statement hung in the air, undisputed by anyone else at the table. Another voice chimed in with a phrase that perfectly encapsulates the entrenched tensions between two royal households and the staggering sums at play. It was never enough. Let's be clear. This isn't about crisply filed divorce papers or legal petitions sitting in some attorney's office. Nothing official has been submitted. No paperwork has been signed. This isn't a rumor meant to spark wild speculation. Instead, what we have is an extraordinary convergence of voices. Harry's own biographer, Diana's former butler, a well-respected royal correspondent, and Lady Colin Campbell.
I have no sympathy. Yes, she should give up. She should give up because she sold the world a pup. None of us buy in to what she is selling. And also, she's just really goddamn terrible at it.
Meghan, when she was in Jamaica, for instance, with Harry, they were followed around by a camera crew. I know this because friends of mine saw them at trial and actually phoned me up before it came public. So you never believe who just said hello to me. I said, who? Oh, Meghan.
All in remarkable agreement within the same year. Their sole disagreement is on the timing, but the prediction is unanimous. What you make of that is your call, but here's the kicker, the detail that should be keeping him awake at night. At the ungodly hour of 4 a.m, this family remained surprisingly indifferent to the chaos surrounding him. Donald Trump, in characteristically blunt fashion, captured the situation in just 4 striking words when speaking to a royal biographer. His comment? "Oh boy, that wife of his."
I said, do you know her? No, she said, she just came up to us because, she thought, oh, we're a trial and we're with very rich grand people. So she never misses an opportunity to make a connection.
Do you think that potentially Meghan is starting to realise Harry is not all that and she's going to have to go her own way and pursue a sort of Jeff Bezos type of character for the dreams that she wants to live? Because we know she doesn't want to step foot in Britain again, and I know that she has, but I don't know if she'll be stepping foot in London anytime soon.
Well, I think you're spot on in her terms of her ambition, but I don't think, with due respect, she's known for a very long time that Harry didn't have the money that she would have liked him to have. He also initially deceived her into thinking that he was more powerful than he was. And so each of them was deceiving the other, but she deceived him into thinking they could move to America and they could compete with William and Catherine. So William and Catherine would have Britain and the Commonwealth. They would have the rest of the world, and they would be the global royal couple, which of course hasn't happened because Meghan is as incompetent as Harry is in terms of finance.
A simple phrase, but loaded with unspoken tension and judgment that seemed to echo through royal circles. Billy Bush, a seasoned journalist with 2 decades of experience reporting on these figures, didn't hold back either. He expressed his feelings without sugarcoating, revealing that Prince William harbors a deep aversion not only toward Meghan Markle, but also toward his brother for becoming so deeply connected to her. It's a sentiment fraught with raw emotion and family loyalty clashing fiercely behind closed doors. Angela Levin, hardly known as a supporter of this couple's union, has gone even further, labeling Prince Harry as a man who was essentially entrapped by Meghan. Her description carries a tone of caution and regret, painting a picture of someone caught in a carefully woven trap. Then there's Lady C, who delivers a particularly heavy verdict. When she speaks about why Harry won't be welcomed back home, her words carry palpable weight. She alleges that Harry's actions are influenced by what she refers to as a massive malignant substance, Meghan Markle. This choice of words is both dramatic and chilling, suggesting not just influence, but a destructive force that cannot be ignored.
Yeah, it's not a sort of romantic, actually. It's gathering money, isn't it? It's nothing to do with romantic. I mean, if you remember, the Queen said to her cousin, the late Queen said to her cousin, I felt that Meghan didn't actually love him and didn't really care for him. That's what what she said. And of course, she's spot on. She just has used Harry as somebody she should tell what to do. And he's adored her. So these types of relationships don't go too well together, do they?
The way they have behaved and the way they have treated the people of this country, and their behavior has been just beyond belief.
Completely. I mean, they've actually been routinely dragging the royal family through hell.
I truly believe that when he met Meghan, she whispered into his ear, a 36-year-old mature woman whispered into his ear, Harry, you and I could change the world.
Meghan Markle knew that, and she manipulated him because of that. Then, when she got everything that she wanted, right?
Of course, the show's host jumps in to remind listeners that these claims are just that, claims, speculation and hearsay, cautioning against accepting them outright. Yet, moving past the disclaimers, one thing is undeniable. Everyone involved seems to place the blame on Meghan. Still, intriguingly, many keep at least a small door cracked open for Harry to return. Lady C even offers a piece of advice for the prince. If he's wise, he should seize the opportunity and leave now, while it's still feasible. The underlying idea is clear: the chances are slipping away fast, and the path back to the royal fold is narrowing by the day. Yet, whether or not Harry will take that advice remains a question hanging in the air, thick with uncertainty and the weight of family drama. Returning to England meant admitting his brother was right all along, a truth he simply couldn't bring himself to say out loud.
Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem.
If Harry were to separate, get divorced, he would be welcomed back by father and son like that. She would be the scapegoat. They'd blame her and everything would be good. They want Harry. And the English people, I mean, I was over there when the Queen died. I flew right away when I was working at Extra and covered that whole thing. And it was, the ascension of Charles was right after it. They were almost preparing for two things at once and loved all the British folk. Loved Harry. They still love Harry. They're mad at Harry, but forgiveness will be quick and swift. It's all her. And every person I chatted with in the street, I did tons of MOS. All their bitterness is directed at Meghan.
The idea of confessing that felt like a defeat worse than any other. He would rather spend another decade confined in that grand Montecito estate than utter those words and put himself in that vulnerable position. So he waits. Meanwhile, she's out there shopping, living life, and everyone watching can sense the tension, the unspoken struggle hanging thick in the air. It's almost heartbreaking, this man, once so full of promise and hope, now overshadowed, outlived by his own relevance, no longer the shining star, but rather the forgotten echo of what might have been. He wasn't the prize to be won. In reality, he was the mistake, the misstep.
He is under the influence of various substances, as well as a rather massive malignant substance called Meghan Markle.
That's obviously all alleged. We don't know, but you're right. He has written in Spare that he loves to, he was smoking weed at Courtney Cox's house, and there were some magic mushrooms taking place. And we know that he's actually self-admitted to a pretty textured history with drugs.
And so I just find that you have to find a way to navigate almost evil-like mentality, because that's the kind of person I believe Meghan is, and she's brought Harry into that. I mean, he's come down so far since being with her. I mean, William really has to make a formal break. I am no longer associated with my brother. I love my mother, and, wanting to still honor her memory, but at the same time, he has to be given, the leeway to not be in association with his brother and not try to demonize William.
Now, here's where you come in, William. Where exactly do you stand in this story? Was Harry a naive dreamer who got caught up in something bigger than he realized? Or was he a grown man who saw the situation clearly, liked what he saw, and made his choice regardless? Drop your thoughts below. Don't hold back if you think he miscalculated. Call it like you see it. I read every comment personally, because your perspective shapes the conversation and the bigger picture here. And hey, before you go, smash that like button. It really helps this channel connect with more people who want the full story behind this family's complicated dynamics. Don't forget to subscribe too, because there's a lot more coming your way this week. Up next, we're diving deep into the gala being organized for the 30th anniversary of his mother's passing. And trust me, there's one name on that guest list that had the Prince of Wales literally running for the hills. You absolutely don't want to miss that one, so stay tuned and be ready for the next chapter in this unfolding saga.